Good evening, everybody, from wherever you might be watching in the world. My name is Selema Masekela, and welcome to my kitchen. That's how we do movie premieres in the time of COVID. It is my humble honor to welcome you to the world premiere of CS Now. It is a short film directed by Bethany Mollenkof in collaboration with one of the most incredible group of women that I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, the women of Textured Waves, as well as with Seea. And when I got asked to be a part of this thing tonight, I was like, "Are you sure? Are you guys sure that you want me on your big night?" But I'm really humbled and excited for this film. The timing relative to where we are in the world and the type of issues that we are discussing when it comes to race and culture. I won't say couldn't be better, it just couldn't be more apropos. And the fact that this film was in the works long before we entered into this time of COVID and this time of really one of the largest civil rights movements in the history of mankind globally, this film, CS Now, is landing at precisely the right time. Textured Waves, who are they? Why are they? I discovered this group of truly empowered, badass women about 6 months ago on Instagram. And as a Black surfer who has enjoyed the sport for most of my life, the landscape that I was used to is not seeing very many of us. I could literally count on both hands how many people of color I've come in contact with in surfing before meeting the women of Textured Waves. And most of those surfers were men. They were not women, and they surely did not have their own platform. And as I deep dive their Instagram, the level of emotion that swelled up in me, that here are these women who are doing the damn thing and they're telling their own stories and saying to the world, this is also what surfing is and what it looks like and what it feels like from this richly Black perspective. I just couldn't wipe the smile off my face, and I had to hit him up and be like, "Yo, who are y'all and how can I serve?" So it is within that context that I'm so pleased to welcome and introduce the women of Textured Waves. Joining us from Santa Cruz, California, Chelsea Woody.
Hello.
From Oceanside, California, Danielle Black Lyons.
Hey, what's up?
From Jacksonville, Florida, Gigi Lucas.
Wow.
And all the way from Honolulu, Hawaii, big aloha, Martina Duran.
Aloha, everyone.
This is a big night. Before we came on board, I was like, "Yo, this is a moment in surfing history and a truly important moment in Black history at this time." Tell me why and how Textured Waves. How did you four women from polar different parts of the country come together as one and form this platform?
Yeah. Well, we met online through the power of the internet and social media. I think we were all searching for the same thing, and that was someone who looked like us in the lineup. Surfing is a pretty white dominant sport in the States, and it's hard to find people of color in the lineups where most of us live. That and the fact that the surf world has a very narrow view of what a surfer looks like. It doesn't always reflect our shared experiences of being African-American water women. So growing up, and even still today, you often see one image if you do a search for Black surfers. It's often that kind of white savior pushing an African-American child into their first wave. Although that work is important and beautiful, it doesn't tell the whole story of Black surfing or why we don't see as many African-American surfers in the water today. So we wanted to tell our stories and show imagery through our own lens. We got together and formed a collective, which began with an Instagram page showcasing Black and brown water women shredding, gliding down the faces of waves. You won't find a lot of butt shots on our page. That's not really our jam. I want to promote women in their element, ripping, sliding, being free in the sea. And we believe imagery is really powerful. Representation can be underestimated, especially in these times we're living in right now. In addition to curating beautiful imagery, we are all active in our communities. We founded our local lineups daily and are always working to engage with our communities by creating space for women of color to come together, to feel supported in a space that hasn't always welcomed us.
I'll start with you, Chelsea. How did you learn how to surf? How did surfing come into your life?
Sorry. I started surfing 5 years ago. And me and my husband were traveling around the globe. We traveled to 17 countries and we wanted to learn to surf during that time. And we posted up in Indonesia and taught ourselves how to surf and been addicted ever since. So that's kind of my journey to surfing. I didn't grow up in a coastal town. So, getting in the water wasn't something that was totally encouraged by my family or, folks that looked like me weren't really, portrayed as surfers or water women. So, surfing came to me later, I think after, finding more self-acceptance in the way I look and how I came out of my mother naturally with my natural hair and becoming more secure in my own self. So, and that happened a little later in life. So, yeah.
Gigi, what would you say are some of the challenges that you felt as you started to make your way in the ocean from the surfing community?
Yeah, for sure. Well, like Chelsea said, I think the majority of us, if not all of us, came to surfing later in life. So there had to be this evolution of courage that we had to instill in ourselves. So honestly, the challenges that faced me personally were access, right? So I saw a huge challenge in general with access to the water. And as I started digging deeper, of course, we'll talk about this later in terms of what actually caused that access hurdle from historical purposes, from social purposes, from aesthetic purposes. So just like Chelsea said, it's a matter of how do you conquer those fears? How do you build up that courage to accept who you are and to come as you are to the ocean? So, yeah.
Thank you. Martina, I think about it myself. It took me years and years and years to meet other Black surfers, Black men. And as we got to know each other, it'd be like one person every 3 or 4 years, like, I met another person. Woo! But the way that you guys were able to, but I didn't have the advantage of social media as a hub. What do you think that this time and having access to social media to connect you guys and create has done to amplify the message in a way where people all over the world are able to consume and are fans and engaging with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, thankfully, because of the advent of social media, we were able to kind of find each other because we are so spread out. One common story you hear when you meet another Black surfer is that they're the only one in their lineup, right? So it's really easy to feel isolated and alone in that space. So, there's this need to want community and to want to be able to connect with others that understand, uniquely what your experiences are. And so, out of that need and thirst, if you will, you're constantly going through the internet just to find anything. And I think what's beautiful about the time that we're in is that in the past, it was only one person telling the story, and that person being whoever were the heads of the surf industry or the people on advertisement boards for surfing brands. And now, because of social media, we can create a different story and a different face and, you know, show the other side of things. So I think that has been one of the, you know, social media gets a lot of bad rap, but I think that's been one of the more beautiful and impactful things that has come from it.
I think the thing that impressed me the most was the impact of your platform 100% bypassing the construct or any gatekeepers that are or were the surfing industry, and the surf industry being completely taken by surprise and by storm to be like, wait, this is actually a thing, and it's flourishing and thriving. Chelsea, how did this relationship with Seea come about, to the point where you guys said, okay, we're going to collaborate and make this film?
Yeah. So through our social media platform, Amanda, the owner of Seea, reached out to us, and she really loved what we were up to and asked if there was a way that we could collaborate. When folks reach out to us, we are very hesitant because we want to make sure they're reaching out to us for the right reasons, not using us as tokens. So we really we expressed to Amanda that we needed to have control of our narrative if we were going to work together. And she was completely about that. She wanted it to come from our voice, and our relationship, our relationship was really organic. She kind of asked us, what do we want to see? And we said, we want to build beautiful imagery of ourselves that other generations can build upon. And we want to add to this history, this documentation of African-American female surfers being water women. And she just wanted to share her platform and share the mic with us. And so it was a really beautiful, organic relationship that came about so easily. After she reached out to us on Instagram, she invited us to her office the next day and was like, sit down with me, tell me what we can do. Here's my office. This is what I create. How can I help you create? And how can I amplify your voice? So,
Danielle, what do you think it is about right now? I talked about it at the beginning, like this film has been in the works for a long time. It wasn't like, oh, we're in the midst of a civil rights situation, like let's whip up a surf film. But what do you think it is about right now and the way, this is the first time ever that the entire world is willing to stop, look, and listen to what we as Black people have to say in the totality of our life experiences that are different from everyone else's. People want to learn the history, they want to do the homework, and it's the first time ever that they want to also play they realize their responsibility in playing a role in ending the various different barriers of what racism looks like across landscapes. But when it comes to the ocean and the history of Black people in America, which most people don't know, and what it was like at the beaches, why do you think this film is important at this time?
That's a lot of questions you just threw at me, dude.
Why do you think this film is important at this time?
Yeah, it is kind of magically very timely. You know, when we first finished the film, we were, you know, this was like COVID was happening when we were coming back from Mexico from our trip from filming. And, you know, it was probably one of the last few trips that we could possibly take. I think that things were looking pretty bleak for us at that time. We were like, how are we going to drop this film? How are we going to, you know, raise funds? We can't ask people for money right now. You know, there's a pandemic. There's so many different things that were going on where like the timing couldn't be worse. And then this movement happened, and you know, the world watched as George Floyd was lynched. You know, we all saw it, and I think everybody's home and everybody's a little bit more awake, and people are listening. So I think that, you know, it's unfortunate that it had to be this way, that it is happening now, but it's also, I think, a good thing too, because we're able to bring a little bit of Black joy and, you know, uplift a little bit more, and people are feeling so disheartened and uncertain of where things are going to go with this country and election and just the way the world is going. I just think the timing is actually working in our favor right now because, you know, people are listening and people want to hear, you know, Black voices right now. They want to know how they can help make things better. Again, like Chelsea said, it makes you wonder, you know, why these people are coming out of the woodwork all of a sudden to, you know, ask us, what can we do to help you? You know, we've been around for a little over a year, so we have to be a little bit skeptical of each person and each relationship and just make sure it's the right fit. But I think the Seea was one that just was so beautiful and perfect and natural. We're really pleased with how it happened and the way that things worked out. So yeah, I think, I guess the timing is right. Now is the time to see us now.
It is the time. And I'm sorry that I asked you so many questions at once. It's just, I'm so excited.
Get them all.
But to that, the last question before we start the film, and I'll whoever is going to be answered in parts. When you think about Jim Crow laws as they applied to us as Black people in the ocean, and you see the images of the Gidget movement in the 50s and the 60s, and you know, Southern California bleach blonde people, this film really leans into that imagery, and you see that, you know, as people can see up on the screen, we're looking at images of Black people in that same sort of energy, in a space where like, this is ours, we're celebrating the beach. What is it about Jim Crow laws and segregation that stopped that from becoming a movement that carried forth to today?
That for me too?
Whoever would like to take
it. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Anybody. Go ahead, Martina.
Actually, I'll just like say a really small piece, only because I'm here in Northeast Florida where American Beach is. And that is historically, if you go and research it, one of the quote unquote inkwells, or the places where Black people were allowed to go and spend time at the beach freely, which are some of those pictures that you just seen. And the impact, I believe, of the Jim Crow laws is super significant because it wasn't that long ago. Only 52 years ago were we Black people able to freely and legally go and enjoy the beach. When you think about it, that's actually younger than my parents. And so to be able 52 years later to have this moment, to tell our story, to resurrect those images and those times and those events and say we were here too, is powerful, because unfortunately so many times in history we're written out of the narrative. And so this platform is super special because we're writing ourselves back into the narrative in a way that is authentic to us.
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead, Chelsea.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak a little bit about the development of the film, just marrying beautiful Black beach culture, which existed, but in segregation, with vintage surf culture. And that's an image that, like G was saying, we're reimagining, not necessarily, we can't rewrite it, but we can reimagine what it is today and project that into the future of what we want to see. So that's See Us Now.
I watched this film today 4 times. And each time it made me more and more emotional. I texted one of you today to say that I was sitting here with joy tears coming out of my face, because I've never seen us married to the happy-go-lucky narrative that we're supposed to be here, and that this has always been ours, and this is ours. Yeah. Never seen that told in story, and surely never seen it with multiple images of us surfing together in that textured joy. Thus textured waves. That was an accident, but it makes sense in land. And each time I watched it, I sat here being like, oh, this is really happening. This is everything this is beyond my wildest dreams, and this is just 4 minutes of it. And it's really the beginning of something far bigger in the not the changing, but the expansion of the landscape and the definition of how we see and feel surfing as a whole. And without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome y'all to the world premiere, the first viewing to the world. See us now.
See Us Now. A reimagining of our history with the coastline and the sea. We are reclaiming our place in the deep blue, building off the strength of the generations that came before us. This is a love letter to our past and our future.
History's selective narrative does not dictate how we choose to see ourselves.
We stand on the shoulders of water women who weren't afforded these opportunities. Telling our stories with each new wave, the sea, our healing connection. Defying gravity from our head to our toes. Our float cannot be contained.
In the sun, our skin develops. In the water, we see our hair blossom.
Renewed to our natural state, we are in sync with nature.
Immersed in sisterhood, this bond can be felt across oceans. This bond so powerful, traditions are rewritten and new worlds imagined.
The ocean is our baptism, the healing waters root our purpose.
This is the path of our own creation. Our representation lies in our own hands.
May future generations imaginatively decide their own narrative. May the waters of change greet us all. May you see us now.
First of all, I'm pretty sure everybody at home that's watching is doing this right now. Just a big round of applause those images will never get old. It's already an instant classic. The style and grace and the palpable camaraderie amongst you four as a tribe and how you stand for each other is beautiful. We're going to welcome in our director right now, Bethany Mollenkof, who is out here in Los Angeles. Hi, Bethany.
Hi.
How are you? Welcome.
Thank you. I'm doing well.
You are a storyteller, still photographer, filmmaker. You storytells. Part of your specialty is intersectionality and these things that weave gender, identity, and culture. What was it like for you to come into this world of surfing and collaborate with these women of textured waves?
It was really amazing. So Chelsea had reached out to me, and as soon as she sent me the deck, and as soon as I saw the project, I was like, oh yeah, this is exactly the type of work I love to do. So it was kind of a no-brainer. Like I was like immediately in, because it's kind of rare to find projects that have all of these factors that come together, like all of my different interests, and to like just have the opportunity to keep contributing to the archive, because it's really important for me as a documentarian to like cultivate imagery that we don't have or don't see. And so this was really powerful in that aspect. And then to be able to work with dope people, it was just awesome.
Yeah, I like how you said that, contribute to the archive, because when I think about the way this film plays beyond the surfing landscape, and Black people seeing, this is the first time of seeing this type of imagery. How do you think it will be received? What do you think it means to the culture to have this in the world?
I really hope, I always think about the future, and I think about kids growing up and being able to have imagery that's representative for their experience. So I was actually just talking to my partner about just the idea of like, we're making things for the future. It's kind of like Afrofuturism, like we're going to be there tomorrow, you know? And so I think about my children. I want them to be able to look at this and to be able to be like, that's who I want to be. That's who I can be. And so it was really cool to like that. I do that in my work already. So to meet these women and they have those same goals, it was super dope and super cool to just be like, we're all kind of pushing for the same thing, because we recognize the importance now, but we recognize the importance for tomorrow and for whatever else is to come for us. And so I think it'll be powerful. I hope so. It's been really cool to see people really engaging it right now so far. That's been awesome, especially in this like really intense time. I think just to be able to celebrate, like, we love being Black. This is awesome. We love, you know, there's so much joy to this. It doesn't have to be like only one narrative. And so I think this helps expand how we see ourselves. And that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like? What were some of the challenges? I mean, this is the first time you're making a surf film. What did you learn, I guess I should say, about this culture, about surfing, that you didn't know before?
So I actually grew up for part of the time in South Africa. So I lived near a surf town near Jeffreys Bay. So I like have been aware of surfing, and I like did ocean lifeguarding and stuff. So I've been around the water. My mom made a really specific point to make sure we all knew how to swim, because she didn't grow up swimming. So water is something that I love, but I never was able to surf. That just we didn't have access to that. So I think it was really cool to be able to like kind of dabble in this culture that I've been around, but not necessarily been able to participate in. So that was really cool. The challenges were like, obviously I can't surf, so getting in the water is tricky. And just like, you know, equipment on the beach and things like that. But other than like the technical things, there wasn't really much of a challenge.
Jeffreys Bay is one of my favorite waves in the world, and my family is from South Africa. So
oh, cool. Yeah, we lived in Port Elizabeth.
Yeah, I know Pete very well.
Yeah.
My father was a political exile in South Africa for like 30 years, but that's another conversation.
Amazing.
Chelsea, and Martina, what was it like? You know, you reach out and you say, hey, do you want to do this thing with us? But then it's not a guarantee follow and click. I mean, looking at this finished project, you guys clearly clicked beyond, but what was it? What was this process like from your end?
Yeah, so it was, really quick. I had to do a lot of research to find Bethany, and we did have a different director that dropped out, and so it was a last minute decision that we wanted from the beginning of somebody who could see us through a lens that was similar, a woman who grew up in an environment where she wasn't totally the water wasn't something that was a part of her life, or understood the challenges that African American females face with their hair and cultural differences. So we wanted somebody who saw us in this whole complete, like, as a Black woman. And it was just like, I can't even explain how beautiful it is to see everything that she captured and the beauty she captured of us surfing, or not surfing, but on land, and in this vintage scenery that we were not really a part of. So it was everything to have Bethany. And I'm so glad we found her, and that it happened that she was supposed to be the one to direct this.
Yeah. Go ahead, Martina.
I was just going to add to that I think as Black people, like, there is this unspoken trauma that we all share, and we don't need to, it's just something we can convey without words. And obviously Bethany is an artist as well, right? So she, her art is through film and images and putting them together. And, it was really important to have someone that understood that unspoken language that I think we all have, from born out of the traumas that we face and the generational traumas we face, so that she could paint that brush and paint those images in a way that kind of spoke to that, but also brought a light and a joy to it. Because like Chelsea mentioned, or someone mentioned earlier, like, it's not all heavy, our experience, right? And I think that's another side of the media coin. Like, it's, the Black experience is always conveyed as something very heavy, but we do have a lot of light and joy. And I think what Bethany did beautifully is marry kind of the two, and, just show the complexity and the diversity of our history, and our identity.
Yeah. And again, a lot of people don't know how to photograph us and what light looks great on Black and brown skin, and to highlight our beautiful features. So I think that's another thing that, Bethany really brought to this. She showed the beauty of the diversity of being Black, one, and just we're beautiful in all of our glory, whatever that is.
Yeah, Bethany, you did that. You absolutely did that. Who was your water cinematographer? Because those shots are magical.
They used a team in Mexico, right?
Yeah, his name was Alex, Higher Altitude Films, and he was amazing too. And also that was this whole trip was like a last minute decision. It was very rushed. And so we were really thankful for him as well. And that he, was willing to take on a project that I think a lot of folks in the industry, a lot of videographers and photographers were not willing to really see us before this. Very difficult to get anybody to see what the importance would be of documenting Black female surfers. They're not on the world stage. They're not winning world titles. Why should we document this? But it's important for other generations to build upon. It's important, like Bethany said, so we can, set the foundation, and they can, elevate higher than to places that we didn't think we could even reach. So, yeah.
Yeah, representation is absolutely everything. I saw a picture of a Black surfer when I was 16 that was about an inch and a half big in the back of Surfer magazine, and I cut it out and put it on a corkboard in my bedroom because I knew that this guy, Cab Spates, was the same color as me. And I met him 20 years later, and when I told him that story, you know, we had that moment. This is something so much bigger, and it's going to affect so many more people, not just people who are going to surf, but people's just perception of what this thing is. And Bethany, congratulations. Thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. And it's going to be really, really fun to watch the ride that this little big film goes on.
I'm just happy to be part of it.
Right on, Bethany. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, we'll say goodbye to Bethany right now, and we are going to welcome in the founder, CEO of Seea, the one and only Amanda Chinchelli. I don't see her yet, but as we wait for her, how long were you guys in Mexico for the show?
It was really quick. We were there for like, what, 6 days or so? Sorry, 4 days?
The waves look super fun though. It looked like you had like great conditions.
Yeah, it was small. we were last minute, so we didn't get to look at like the swell or anything like that. We made do.
Well, you made it work. What does it feel like to know like, okay, this is it? Like you're not sitting on this anymore. This is out there in the world.
I'll let somebody else answer it. It feels really good. The world needs to see this. It was time for some imagery of Black joy.
Yes, that part. Well, we are going to welcome in Amanda Chinchelli from Seea. Hello, Amanda. How are you?
Hi, Selema. I am emotional and very happy.
I can see that it's written all over your face. Your brand, just from the get, stands way off on the outskirts of anything that could be the surf industry neighborhood. Explain briefly, sort of what Seea is founded on.
On love for women and for the ocean. That's I think the starting point, and that's kind of what I always come back to. And I think the ocean can really be such a powerful tool, and in just this meditative state to community, to respecting our planet. And this is kind of the mission that Seea stands for. Our mission statement is, we want to connect women to themselves, the planet, and the community, and surfing is our platform. And obviously, product and designing is my passion too. I'm a creative and I love what I do, but then the brand took life of its own, and I am really proud of what we created together. And this is what I live for, and this is what I want to be doing. And I am, open arm welcome, projects like this. This is, very exciting.
As from the outside looking in, as a man, one of the things that I noticed about your brand immediately is this super, super welcoming of all different types of women, sort of smashing the stereotype of the identity of women in surfing created by men. Which makes sense that, as Chelsea told the story earlier, you reached out to Textured Waves. What was it about what you saw in what these women were doing that you said, okay, I need to know what's happening?
Absolutely, yeah. That was, well, first related to the first question, this is exactly why I started Seea. It was because I didn't feel that women were represented how we saw each other, you know, in the water, and how I wanted my daughter to be, you know, surfing, and how, you know, I wanted to create space for women that was created by women for women. It relates to texture waves. I was, you know, going back to social media and the power of social media. I was scrolling through an evening and I was like, boom, this is what I was looking for. And I was so thrilled and excited to see, you know, diversity in the water and such beautiful imagery, because I do believe that aesthetics, you know, play a role. And, you know, you also been mentioning, we need this archive. We need to show, you know, this space, this beautiful skin tones in the water playing. And so I reached out and I thought, you know, we could do something super powerful together. So as soon as I saw it, I DM and I was like, let me know if you ladies are ever interested in a collaboration. We're here, you know, come by anytime. And Chelsea happened to be in Oceanside with Danielle, and they came in the next day. And I don't know, it was just, you know, connection. And I think this is another of the thing that I'm the most grateful for Seea, you know, creating Seea, is coming across women like them and being able to hear stories and then to create projects and videos and imagery relating to these stories.
Yeah, Danielle and Gigi and everyone, they spoke about how you said to them, what direction do you want to go? You can use this platform, but our brand isn't here to tell you how to be for us. We're here to be for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was all I could, you know, offer. I wanted to, you know, to let them know that they have a blank slate to play with, that they have full creative freedom. All I could do was offer the launch of the new collection that was coming out, and it happened to be in this actual time. I know a lot of folks are questioning, you know, the intention of why coming out now with this campaign, and how is that, you know, it seems crazy, and it just happened to be in, and I want to take advantage of this. I would love, like, I feel that things happen in life for a reason, and so now that this movie is out, I hope that we can be inspiring for other brands and other folks out there to offer their platform and share the mic, for sure.
I want to share a comment with all of you women. This is from a woman named Roberta Riccio. She said, "So happy to see this and the beautiful Black women you have added to your catalog as well. I'm a white mom teaching my Black daughter how to surf, mostly in New Jersey. I want her to see herself here and free and safe to be everywhere in the world. Thank you," with an exclamation point. What does that mean when you hear that, Danielle?
Well, I think all of us can relate to what this mother's saying. Everyone should feel seen and represented. And, you know, surfing's a global pastime. That it's our state's, you know, sport here in California. So I think it's important that diversity be normalized in that sport. And we should showcase people that we see in our everyday communities just as much as anyone else, you know? Yeah, I think, you know, that makes me think of my own white mommy trying to, you know, get me in spaces that I wouldn't normally be seen in. I was a swim team kid from age 5 through college, and you know, that's kind of a counterculture sport in itself too. So yeah, it's just, I think it's beautiful. I'm so glad that people are, you know, looking at this and saying, this is wonderful. Like, this is what I want my daughter to see. I think that's super important. It should be the norm.
Gigi?
Same question. So I think that this child's ability to see herself in us and what we do is, I think, super important for her to be able to transition to really understanding the pure joy and magic of surfing, because we've all, texture wave women, had to incorporate the idea and concept of race along with learning how to surf. And hopefully this young girl and those after her will just be there to surf, period. Because the ocean is such a healing space. And like Danielle said, everyone should have access to it. Everyone should be able to enjoy it without being marred for things that are superficial, like race and skin color.
Yeah. Without being asked why they're there or being patted on the back and saying, hey, it's really cool that you're out here.
Yeah, right. You've had one of those encounters too.
Or you know what to do with that thing.
You know what, board's a little short for you. Amanda, if you could talk to the surf industry as regards the promoting of inclusion of what's become a curse word, diversity. Ah! I don't want to say that word. How would you, from your own experiences, speak to them to say, hey, this is all it takes?
This is all it takes. Like literally reach out, because I think we're all afraid of doing and saying the wrong thing, and being open, have an open heart, listen, and be truthful and have good intentions. I think, I mean, I would always go back to what you told me when we met at the paddle out. Imagine the things that we can do if we come together. I mean, that brings me to like, that's so simple and so true.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, why? Sorry, I'm not supposed to say this.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
We needed at least one good solid F-bomb.
It would come from sweet Amanda.
I know, but it makes me so mad. It makes me so mad that this was never done before. And then, you know, as an immigrant, like, I always looked at the US as being like this rad, liberal place where, you know, growing up with this amazing music, you know, and then you come here, it's very different. And then very, very different. And it's very recent too. It's, you know, so we gotta speed things up. There's no more time, like, and that's what it's all about. Like, we're here for this. That's what it's all about. And surfing, again, can be such a powerful tool.
Yeah. You mentioned
this message.
You mentioned the paddle out, and we were all together. Danielle, Amanda, Gigi, not Gigi, sorry. Myself in Encinitas for one of the many paddle outs that have taken place around the world to honor George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and this raising of awareness about police brutality and just racism in general. And I think for all of us there that day, and I know for me especially, seeing the amount of people that came out and surfing deciding to no longer stand on the sidelines, and the way surfing has decided not to stand on the sidelines about this issue globally at the same time, I never thought that I would see that. And it definitely, it feels like this can be a turning point. And as we were saying earlier, like, this film, it wasn't planned for it to land at this time, but there just could never be more of a right time in the energy that we're in. So Amanda, I commend you for your curiosity and your wanting to include everyone, and just thinking about the fact that you choosing to reach out and say, I want to find out about these women, has us in this moment with this created thing that will never go anywhere and only multiplying itself in the world. Congratulations to all of you, and thank you, Amanda, for really being a leader for what it looks like at the top, in a position of power, to be able to offer your platform and to give people who are empowered the ability to tell their story.
Yes.
I just hope that this can be just the beginning of many, many more to come in many other spheres. So
I think
I
you're right.
also want to, I want to encourage the audience and our customers to, to really start the conversation and to challenge us and to, we're here and that's what we want to be doing. We really want to be, the megaphone to tell these stories. And so, yeah, again, reach us and talk to us.
Well, thank you, Amanda. Thank you for using your platform in this way, in this collaboration, and thanks for coming on with us today. And it's going to be fun to watch this thing ride.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Look forward to surfing with you next time I'm down south. We will bring in the rest of the crew, and I just wonder, I'm sure everyone's asking the same question, what is next, ladies? Now that you've had the spotlight for a long time, and you use it well, but where do you want to see this movement of textured waves go? If you could close your eyes 10 years from now, where would you like to see things in this landscape?
I think Gigi always says this, but it's truthful. I hope we don't have to exist in 10 years. I hope that, diversity is when you can't pinpoint the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, hopefully somebody will be on the tour. Maybe we'll inspire the Serena Williams of surfing. And hopefully there's a lot of Black girls out there and they don't have to question if they belong or where their place is. There's no limitation for them. I think that's what I would like in 10 years. I don't want to keep doing this.
I said to someone last week in one of these calls, like, if you think that we as Black people wake up in the morning and go, I really hope I get to talk about some race today. That would make me feel it's a lot of energy to beat down doors and to speak for your own and to help to get people's attention as to what's happening. It's not something that you can find joy in the work, but it is work. It takes a lot.
Yeah. So there's also one more thing, because right now I feel like what we've been blessed to provide is aspiration, right? So I think the next step is inspiration and moving to action, creating the bridge to actually give these girls access. And so this can't only rest on the shoulders of Textured Waves. This is a community-wide initiative. And so one of my really good friends, she runs a executive coaching business successfully, and she claimed this term called opt-in. So like own your own research, put your money where your mouth is, and then take the time to actually do the work. And so I think that because these ladies have created this tremendous platform, there's nowhere else. We have no excuse not to move forward. We have no excuse.
Yeah.
Be gone.
And if people are struggling to find a place to start, they can head to our website. We have a whole community page where we lay it all out for you.
Plug. Very good plug.
Just a little plug. A little one.
And, I think the surf community wants to know what they can do. And if you're putting your dollars somewhere, we want you to vet those organizations and make sure you're protecting the communities that you intend to uplift. Because we are new to this sport, a lot of us, and it's really important that first experience in the water is a good one, and that they can build off of it, and people aren't afraid to come back. So making sure that you're taking care of the communities you want to protect.
Martina?
Everything everybody just said, definitely don't want to keep doing this for 10, 20, 30 years. Hopefully there isn't a need for us, just like what you said, we don't want to talk about this every single time we enter into our communities, but unfortunately we're put into positions where we need to, because we need to educate people. And it does become a lot on our shoulders that we're constantly in this role of the educator, right? And we can't just be an equal participator. I did a roundtable a few months back, and one of the questions I got was, why are we bringing politics into surfing? And what I say to those people is, like, for you, my skin color may be political, but for me, it's my reality. And unfortunately, how I present to my community elicits a response from my community that's rooted in this education, So I would love nothing more than to show up to the lineup as a surfer first and a Black woman second. But unfortunately, that's not our reality. And, hopefully in 10 years, we're past this point of this education, and we are moving on a path of acceptance and community and being viewed as the equals that we are. So.
Amen. I think sometimes people get uncomfortable and political confused. Racism is thoroughly uncomfortable, especially when people become aware of the manners in which they may or may not be participating that they did not know. That is a very, very uncomfortable thing. And so it's an easy deflection to suddenly be like, I don't want to talk about politics. I don't want to talk about politics either. None of us do. It's not a political. And Martina, you said it so well. Like, it may be political for you, but this is my hue. And with that, I would say to those people who are watching from within the surf industry and the surf community, there's no need for fear. As you can see, we're all pretty happy, and we love this thing just as much as you do.
Oh my God.
Go to the Textured Waves website, get engaged. There's no better time than now to get educated and to find the things within your community that match with the identity of your brand, and figure out ways to make this thing not be a quick fix so that you're getting called out on social media, but more importantly, to make it a part of your brand identity, your brand culture, so it doesn't have to feel like heavy lifting. This just becomes a part of who you are. I always tell people, and I'm sure y'all have said the same thing, I couldn't think of any a better extra weight to have than to wake up every day and say, you know what, I'm going to figure out what role I can play in being anti-racist so that we can have unity. I am so proud of you women. I am honored to know you. The fact that you have engaged with me in the last 6 months, and I've been able to watch from the sidelines this rapid growth and the way people are drawn like a beacon to Textured Waves, because it is a new light within our community, and this film is going to do incredible things, and it's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. Congratulations. Thank you for joining us tonight and for pouring out your hearts and being wholly and unedited in your honesty of your experiences, and just cannot wait to see where you all go and where this goes next. To everybody that tuned in tonight, thank you. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Play your part, and who knows what's possible on the other side of this. But unity is a beautiful thing. Thank you, ladies. To be continued.
Continue. Thank you, guys.
Good night, everybody. See us now.